Welcome to Running My Journey. I am Dan from Spare Tire Running, and I want to say thank you for all the listening on the first episode, the backstory. It was a great start to this journey and be able to document where I'm at and where I'm going, which is today's episode is all about goals and my 2023 goals and where I'm seeing where I'm at and where I want to be. So let's sit down, talk about it. If you're here on podcasts, thank you for listening. If you're on YouTube, thank you for watching. The people that are watching on YouTube will get some visual effects and so forth on the video due to being YouTube. So let's get started. The greatest thing about goals is you always can look back at them and you can always analyze what you did the year before so you can change or make adjustments for the future year. And Strava did a wonderful job just recently in the last 2 weeks, came out with your 2022 totals. And so we're going to go through that real quick here, and the people on YouTube can see these little graphics that Strava put together. And I was actually somewhat surprised by some of the analytics or some of the things that Strava posted or Gabe told me that I did, because I did not think I did as good as I did in 2022. I really thought 2022 was a major failure, just another step back, or sometimes 2 steps back in my training, my quest for health. But that's why I'm doing this Running My Journey podcast, so that we can document everything and I can hold myself accountable and you guys can hold me accountable too. So if we're looking at here, first off, total day active. I was in the top 14%. What? Of Strava in 2022. Now, obviously, this doesn't include most of the month of December, which I've actually been very active on Strava. And then so I had to think back and say, okay, what were my activities? What was I doing? And then I remember I did have a good preemptive marathon training plan, and even though I felt like I was moving slow, the data tells me differently, at least for me, that I was actually doing somewhat good, but obviously I failed off somewhere because I ran that Toledo half marathon horrible. And if you're on YouTube, you can see my 3 pictures are all coming from Lakefront Marathon training, and then the Toledo mini half marathon, which was the Toledo mini half marathon was going to be my gauge to see how I was going to do for the Lakefront marathon in Milwaukee. Now, I was going to back out of the Milwaukee Lakefront Marathon anyways. I just had too much going on, did not have enough training, but it got canceled, so it was a kind of a win for me that I didn't have to worry about it. But I will talk about that more in the future. So top 14%. The other thing I was thinking of, well, I was playing basketball a lot, at least pretty much once a week. I was playing soccer at least once a week, and I was tracking that on Strava. So right there, 2 days a week, I had an activity. And then if you added my Lakefront, my marathon training block, and some other things, including Zwift and riding the bike here and there, I did get more miles in and more activity than I ever thought. And then I look at this fastest activity that they had on there and the longest activity. So the fastest activity was part of my marathon training, workout number 2. So I was just starting this marathon block. And I'm trying to think, I would have to go back in and see if this was a treadmill workout or outside workout. It does not say it here. But for me, running an average pace of 9:34. Now, I probably didn't run that far in this activity. It was probably maybe 2 miles, I'm guessing, with workout number 2 in this block. It was probably just starting or training, going into it. But for me, I'm like, 9:34? I mean, even if it was only for 2 miles, I'll take that. I will definitely take that so that I can be this year for the 5K, be 9:34 average for a 5K for me is is amazing. So I would love to see what go back and dive deeper into that one. And then the longest activity was 22 miles, and that was on my bike, and that was in March. So not a year ago, but I was more dedicated at that time. That's why I'm thinking the 9:34 pace was on a treadmill. I'm guessing it was around that time because I was really working hard, and that was again on Zwift, on my dumb bike, my junk bike, with a dumb trainer. So I'm not even sure how accurate my trainer is with my Bluetooth power and cadence gauges. I'm working towards saving money so I could buy a good smart trainer, either something that's an all-in-one or something that I can put another bike on to be able to make sure I do that nicely and be able to gauge, because I don't know if my power, my FTP of right now is 200. I don't even know if that's 100% accurate. I don't even know. I'm so newbie on this bike stuff that I don't even know if where 200 is. I mean, I know with my dumb trainer, I only can max out at 400. So am I actually going over 400 at sometimes? Then I watch videos, and I see these guys going, 900 watts. Some of them going up into like almost like 1200 watts at times, and then they talk about how they can't sustain a 400 watts for 20, 30 minutes. And I'm thinking, well, I'm doing 20 or 200 watts for 20 minutes. And before this cycle of getting back into health, I know my FTP, according to Zwift, was about 250, 260, somewhere around there. And I'm thinking, these guys ride every single day. They're experts. They're professionals, and they're talking about that 400 watts is hard, and I'm such a newbie, and I apologize for not knowing. So please help me out. I want to document too of my learning what the cycling world has to offer. I know I'm a runner. That's my first and foremost. But I like getting on the bike. I like getting on Zwift. I like getting out there and changing it up. And I think overall it's going to help my health as well. And then last, the 2022 totals at the time that this came out. Days active, 115 days. So there you go for top 14%. And I was only active 115 days. That was up from 41. So I'm thinking how bad I was in 2022. 2021, I was even worse. I was 41 activities less. Okay, but then I look at my elevation at 18,838, and that's up from 3,000, and that has to be due to Zwift. And again, this is where a smart bike would help me, because I don't think I'm doing hills as hard as hills should be. I mean, that's tough. My speed goes way down based on my watts per kilogram or whatever they track. And I just don't know, though, if I'm doing it correctly. I'm getting a workout in. I know that. How accurate the numbers are, that's what I don't know. And then lastly, distance, 662 miles, which actually blown me away because, again, I did not think I was doing amazing. But that is probably higher due to Zwift miles and not necessarily running miles, even though my top sport was running. But that was up from 177 miles from the year before in 2021. So as much as I thought my 2022 was horrible and that I was getting way out of shape, which I am, I must have really stunk it up in 2021. In which it does make sense. I don't think I felt as good or exercised or worked out or had enough program to make me succeed since my Grand Rapids Marathon, and that was in 2018. So that's why we're here talking, getting accountable, setting goals, letting you guys see my goals and know my goals, and then I can be keeping track of it and updating you guys as I document this over on Strava, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, this podcast. This is, I'm running my journey, but I want you guys to run it with me and hold me accountable. So that moves us into 2023, which is going a week away here, and it's starting to get cold. There's a storm up here in Michigan today. Winds up to 60 miles per hour. It was, when I drove in this morning, it was 5 degrees. Wind chills like negative 20 degrees. It is cold. I am ready for a fire and stay cozy for all winter. So 2023 goes, if you're on YouTube, you can see this on here. I could throw up all 5. This is on my wall if you're looking at this on YouTube. So for those on the podcast, I apologize. I have a whiteboard next to my bike on the wall. And on there, I have my motto, every step counts. I need to be reminded of that each and every single day, that every step counts. And that I want to make sure that I have my brain, my mental game focus when I'm in there working, or as I go out into the trails or road races or anything else outside. My goal is always to know every step counts. And I know that there's junk miles, and I know some people will say, well, there are bad miles training. I don't believe that for big guys like me. For those newbies like me, every step counts. It doesn't matter if you're running a 6-minute mile or a 60-minute mile. Every step counts. So here are my 5 goals. I kind of listed them in order of what's important to me, but not necessarily complete order. But number 1 is true. Number 1 I have right now, weigh 240 pounds or less. This is going to be one of my goals that I think I'm going to keep, as I hopefully meet these mile markers, I can keep lowering it. I'm actually so proud that I have lost 15 pounds since Thanksgiving. So 2023 hasn't even started, and I'm already down 15 pounds. So I think 240 is going to be hopefully crushed in the first quarter, and then I can lower that to 230, 220, 210. I don't know how low weight I can go. Your boy has some muscle on him. It's hiding. It's in hibernation, but I'm pretty strong underneath this fat and bigness. So that'd be a goal that I'll keep you guys updated on, and as we click them down, mark them down. The second goal is one that I've had, I think, I have never really met, first off, so that's why it's still a goal, but it's also one that I haven't really tried to hold true, is to run 1,000 miles in a year. I have put this on my list every single year, and it's always been a failure. I have always failed at this. I mean, look at last year. This was on my goals for 2022, was run 1,000 miles. And between running, biking, basketball, soccer, I only got 662 miles. So this is something I'm going to really focus on, and with my training blocks, to keep working towards that 1,000-mile mark. And then bike 3,000 mile. 2 years ago, I know one of my goals was to bike more in December, and I crushed it that year, which is surprising that last year I had more miles than the year before, because 2021, December, I was going off. I was doing 50 Ks on my bike. I was doing marathons on my bike. I was, and I know for some people that's not long at all, but for me it was. Sitting in a saddle that long, for whatever reason on Zwift right now, probably because of how my dumb trainer is and the junk bike I have, getting out of the saddle to ride just feels weird. It just doesn't feel right. So usually I'm sitting a lot, which can, is not the most comfortable thing, especially for somebody big as me. But so goal is to bike 3,000 miles. I think that might be the easiest one out of these 5 is to get, as long as I stay consistent and stay true to some training blocks and put myself on the bike every chance as possible, even if it's only a half an hour every other day or every day. 4, run a marathon. This is my, I ran 2 marathons, and I know some people say, well, why are you even running a marathon or trying to run a marathon? Why don't you stick to, the 5Ks or even mile races or 10Ks where you don't have to run as hard? 5Ks are challenging. I like them, but I don't know. I like being out there. I like, even though it takes me hours to run these distances, I like the challenge. My competitive side says keep going, keep driving, even though my mental side then blocks me and makes me fail more times than not. But I like the challenge of being out there on the roads, out there on the trails for hours on end. It is therapeutic for me. And it may stink, it may be tough, it may be hard. I may be closing down the race because I'm dead last, but that's okay because I'm going to crush it. And this year we're going to run the Milwaukee Lakefront Marathon. They promise it will be back for next year. They had to cancel this last year due to construction in Milwaukee, so they try to change the route. They've been around for like 40-something years, and it was the first time they had to change the route. But then they had to cancel because the permits and everything else. I mean, you're talking about a busy city trying to get everything down. So they promised that it will be back October 1st, I believe it is. I already booked it in my calendar, and that is going to be the race, the marathon that I am going to be working towards. So, but that's not the only marathon I may run. I may run another one too. I'm working on maybe the possibility of timing. Since this is in October, I want this to be my A race. But I might do the half marathon at a different race somewhere in April to June. And then lastly, my 5th goal is run a 27-minute 5K. Again, I know that's not fast for many of you guys, but that would put me back into the fitness level that I felt the best in my adult lighthood. That right before that Grand Rapids Marathon, I was running about 27-minute mile 5K. So I want to get back to that level and then see how I can crush it. So even though I want to run those longer distance, and people say, well, why don't you just focus on the 5K? I am going to focus on the 5K as well as part of focusing on that marathon. I already penciled in on my calendar about 7 different 5Ks that I would like to do, including a virtual DGR 5K. I think that's I don't remember when that is. I just signed up for it. So there might be, there's a 5K in April that I want to do. There's a there's a trail 5-mile race that I did, I think it was 2018 again. But that I want to do that as well. And I want to get back on the trails as well. So those are my 2023 goals. Weighing on 240 or under. Ideally, if I can get back down to around 200 pounds, since I had kids, I have never weighed less than 200 pounds. I don't know if I have the body type or I have too much muscle to get there, because I was in pretty good shape for adulthood when I was coaching high school wrestling, and I was down to about 210 pounds at that time, 208 pounds, and it was tough to lose any more weight. I wasn't starving myself, but I also wasn't necessarily eating healthy, so maybe it is possible. Run 1,000 miles, all right, that's going to be probably my tough one, because I have not been able to do it, so my mental side is going to fight me against that. Bike 3,000 miles. I think that's my easiest one of these 5 to do. Run a marathon. That's just, I can do it because I've done it. I've done it twice, so I know my brain can do it. And last year I ran that mini half marathon. I had a good start to training, but then I fell apart, and it was a horrible race. But I know mentally I can beat up my brain enough to get it done. I just got to get to the starting line and then run a 27-minute 5K. That should be possible with my training, as long as I am loyal to my training. So I hope my goals can inspire some of you guys too. I hope my goals you can say, hey, those are kind of realistic goals. They're tractable. They're, you talk about SMART goals. They are measurable. I can measure each of those. Either it's a yeah, I did it, or no, I didn't do it. But I can also, measure how far until I get to weighing 240 or less, or getting to 1,000 miles or 3,000 miles. Running a 27-minute 5K. January 1st, I am going to be running a time trial 5K on the treadmill in my garage, just to see, A, where am I at, and B, can I push my body and mental capacity a little bit. Sometimes people says running on a treadmill is easier than it is on outside, and that may be true. That I sometimes feel that it's harder. I feel like, although my brain can do it easier, my legs feel worse usually on a treadmill. I don't know. I'm a messed up guy. But I'm going to do this time trial, see where I'm at, see where I have to go, and looking forward to getting back to races, getting back onto the road, the trails, and also trying to get some of these other spare tire runners back out and make sure that they get moving. Just talking to Ryan, who was one of the founding members of Spare Tire Running Club, and he was talking about doing a Spartan race in late October, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. But then I'm thinking, that's a lot of upper body strength. We have a lot of weight on us that we have to get rid of before we could do that. As much as strong as I am, and before, a couple of years ago, I was almost pushing 400 pounds on the bench press. Squatting, I don't know how many, 600 pounds or something like that. Leg pressing close to 900 pounds or over 900 pounds. Whatever Planet Fitness has the one leg press, we had as many 45ers on there as we could. So I'm a big guy and I have muscle behind me. So it's harder to, sometimes that upper body, I have to work on that. But I am encouraged by people like Nick Bear, who is a big guy, not fat, strong. He's a huge guy, muscle-wise, and he's crushing it in the weight room and on the road. I don't remember what his last marathon time was, but it was pretty fast. I was like, yeah, I'll take that. It was like, 2:30, somewhere around there, or he was trying to break 2:30, I think it was, or maybe it was 3 hours. Either way, 2:30 to 2:50, I would take that time any day. So I appreciate you guys sitting here, listening, watching on YouTube, subscribing either through your podcast method, Spotify, or if you're on the Anchor app, or on YouTube, to hit that notification bell and subscribe. I'm loving the love that the running community has been giving to me on Instagram. Some of the things that also I'm working with is Weeville, not Weeville, I think that's a game, WeViews. WeViews is a online platform where runners get to review races and gear, and I went all in on this, and the conversations I've had with the guys or girls, whoever's running their social media platform, I have enjoyed my conversations with them, and then So any reviews I'm going to do, I threw up. I think there's like 5 of them right now. You can do a full review or you can do a like a mini review. And so I got a couple mini reviews, some full reviews on some races, but I'm going to start adding anything new, anything I do, training, gear that I get. I'm going to be putting all my reviews there for now. So check them out. Reviews. You can follow me on there too. You can set up your own, your own profile and review your own stuff. I think it's a neat way for runners to get their information out to people, but also get their opinions out to people. And there's not too many big guys out on YouTube that are runners. Goku is one of my favorite YouTubers. He's, I don't want to say he's fat because he's not. I mean, he talks about him being a big guy. I think I would love to be as strong as he is and as fast as he is. So there's not a lot of us big guys out there, and I want to get my voice out there to maybe help somebody, because every step counts, and every journey that we're on, sometimes we need somebody to encourage us, and I'm here to encourage you, and I want you guys to hold me accountable because it encourages me. So have a great day, guys, and remember to run your journey and that every step counts. Have a good one.